In this video, I'm going to be repairing this Apple Macintosh PowerBook 140 laptop. Now I actually got this machine off eBay for about $20, and the reason I purchased this was because it is in really nice condition. It is actually almost pristine. So if you just take a look at the machine, you can see that it is in really nice shape. The keyboard looks really nice. There aren't any shiny spots on it, pretty much. There's one on the space bar which you can just make out. But other than that, the keyboard looks like it's in almost perfect condition. The screen, as you can see, is in perfect shape. And if you take notice of the casing, there is no cracks in it at all. So you can see the hinges look perfect. They are not broken in any way. And if we just go and flip the machine around to the back, you can see that the port door is still here and is also in really good condition. So in this video, like I said, we're going to be repairing this machine. It does have a few issues, which I will show you now. But yeah, other than these two issues, the machine is fully working. So let me just go ahead and plug it in real quick, and I'll go ahead and power it up. Alright, the machine is now plugged in, so let me just go ahead and turn it on. Now, the first issue you're going to notice is the contrast of the display. Now, as you can see, it looks fine now, but now you can see that it got really dark, and even with the contrast that high, which it is right now, it'll just get even darker than this, actually. You can see it's starting to fade out there, and yeah, as you can see, it just got really dark. And I don't know if you can hear that, but the hard drive is also bad, and that is the second issue that I'm going to be resolving in this video. But the first issue we're going to resolve is this extremely dark screen. So as you can see, the contrast is all the way up right now, and if I turn it down at all, it just goes completely black. So let me show you exactly what I'm doing here. So it's all the way at this side. So if I turn it down, the screen just turns black, and it's pretty much unusable like this. However, the issue, or what causes this issue, is actually bad capacitors in the display driver circuitry around the actual LCD panel itself. And there are I believe there are about 12 capacitors on there, I'm not 100% sure, that are usually leaky and are bad, and there's always a bunch of capacitor electrolyte all over the board, which is of course also causing the issue. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the display assembly apart. I'm going to take the display out, and we are going to just completely recap and clean it. So I have ordered the new capacitors. I actually found a video on YouTube of some other person performing the exact same repair for the exact same issue. So I found from that video what the values of the capacitors were. I ordered them, and they are now here and ready for the repair to proceed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take apart this display assembly, get the display panel out, and from there we'll proceed with the recap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and resume the video once I'm done. Alright, so as you can see, I have removed the LCD panel now. Now removing the panel was actually pretty easy. All you have to do is unscrew these two bottom screws on the bezel of the LCD, which are right there and right there. They're Torx T8 bits. Then you just kind of pull it off, and then the LCD just comes right out, and it slides out of this blue thing right here, whatever this is. I guess it's shielding. And then you just unplug the inverter cable and the display data cable, and it comes right out. So I've got the LCD panel over here right now. So the first thing we need to do once the panel's out is actually remove this outer metal frame. Now the way you do that is you just bend out all these tabs on the perimeter of the metal bracket, I guess, and then it just comes right off. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real fast, and then I'll show you what to do from there. So I'll be right back. Alright, so you can now see that I've removed the outer metal surround of the LCD panel. So now what you've got to do is get the LCD and the circuit boards on the three sides of it out of this plastic back panel, I guess. So this can sometimes be a little bit tricky because a lot of times the LCD is kind of stuck stuck in there with a little bit of adhesive. So you just have to carefully pry it out. Now, don't really pry it, but just kind of let it drop out and push on it like a little bit. But whatever you do, you've just got to be very careful of all these little ribbon cables that connect to it, because if any of these breaks, your LCD is, of course, completely ruined. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera just because it's going to be a lot easier that way. But once I get it out, I'll show you exactly what I did, or explain exactly what I did, and hopefully if you're doing this yourself, you won't have any issues. So like I said, you just have to get it out very carefully, and once it's out, you can start with the recap process. So I'm going to go ahead and get this LCD and its boards out and resume the video. Alright, so as you can see, I've just managed to get the LCD panel out of the white plastic frame. And this basically just has the backlight and the diffuser paper in there. Just make sure you do not remove the diffuser paper and that it stays in the same order as it was originally. That is very important, because if it is not, your backlight just won't ever be right again unless you can figure out the original order of these sheets. But the actual CCFL is in here too. You can see the cable for it right there. And just let this aside, because we of course won't be needing this during the repair. So just put this aside, and if we go ahead and take a look at the LCD panel itself, you can see all the capacitors we're going to need to replace. So you can see that these three right here, two right here, two bigger ones, and then there are three more of those smaller ones, and three more of them right here. So if you take a look at the board around these capacitors, you can definitely see the capacitors have been leaking quite a bit, actually. You can see there's a bunch of goo all around that. There's some around these as well, and these, not so much around these, but nonetheless, all of these capacitors need to be changed in order for this panel to ever work properly again. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. So from this point, I'm going to go ahead and set the camera on a tripod and show you the entire process. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing all these capacitors. We're going to be removing them just using a pair of pliers and slowly and gently rocking them back and forth until they break off the board. When you do that, just be careful and make sure that no traces or pads come up along with them. So we're just going to do it with these three first. I'm going to wait till the end to do these two, but we're going to start with all of these three smaller ones. Now the replacements for these I got were actually ceramic capacitors, because as I mentioned that video I saw previously of someone else doing this repair. They used ceramic capacitors and had much better results. So, or at least that's what they said, compared to using electrolytic replacements. And of course, ceramic capacitors don't leak, so you won't really have the leaking issue in the future. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do now is put the camera up and show you the removal process of all these capacitors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm now ready to begin the process of removing the capacitors. So we're going to start off with these three right here. So the way you do this is you just take a pair of pliers and you just grab the capacitor like this and just slowly rock it back and forth. Just don't put much pressure on it, just slight rocking back and forth, and eventually the posts will break, and one of them already did. So now we just have to get that second one off. And as you can see, it was removed cleanly. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, as you can see, it was removed cleanly. The pads are still intact, and we can easily solder a new capacitor to them. So let's just go ahead and do the second one. Just slow and easy is all you got to do. Alright, that one came off. So let's go ahead and do this last one. Alright, and all three of those capacitors are off. So now what you want to do, once you've removed the capacitors, is you're going to want to clean up this area with rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to go get my rubbing alcohol real quick and a Q-tip, and go ahead and clean these up. And then after that, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the rest of them off camera, and then show you what to do to actually solder on the new capacitors. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I've just gotten my rubbing alcohol and put it on this Q-tip. So all you're going to want to do is just clean in this area. Just clean in a decently large section of this part of the board. And just until you get all the capacitor goo off. Now you can see all the goo on that Q-tip right there, and that is all capacitor goo right there. So just get all of that off there, because that stuff is conductive and will cause problems if you leave it on there. So just basically just clean everything, really. I mean, the cleaner it is, the better. Just make sure you use good quality 70 to 90% rubbing alcohol. So yeah, as long as you use good quality alcohol, you'll be fine. So just go ahead and dry it off. Alright, and that's that section clean. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same removal and cleaning process for the rest of the capacitors. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the process of soldering the new capacitors on the board. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I have just removed all the capacitors on the board, as you can see. So the next step is to remove the little tabs that were left over from when you broke them off the board. Now, we're just going to go ahead and use a soldering iron for that. So all you need to do is just heat up the solder and just get the little metal tab out. I'm probably just going to use some tweezers to do that. And then it'll just come right out. So let me just go ahead and get one off real quick here. So let me just find it. I may need to tin the end of my iron. Nope, just came right off. As you can see, that was pretty easy. Let me just get that solder. There we go. So let's just do the other one. That one is... Can't grab it as easy. Alright, got that one off. So you get the idea at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through all of them, grab the tabs off, and resume the video once I'm done. Alright, so I've just finished removing all the little metal pieces from all the pads. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put on a new capacitor. So as you can see, I have the capacitor right here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is tin the end of it with a little bit of solder. So I'm going to go ahead and get some right here. 1 second. Bunch of stuff stuck on the end of my iron. Okay, now we should be good. Alright, there we go. And you're gonna grab this and just put some solder on it like this. If you can see that. Yeah. So just do that to both sides. Get some more solder. Okay, so now that capacitor's ready. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is just place it on the board. So we're going to place it right here and solder it down. Make sure I can get that in frame. It's not exactly easy. So yeah, you can see this isn't the easiest thing in the world. Alright, and that one's now in. It's a little crooked as you can see, but it's in there. So all you're going to do is just repeat the process for all the rest of the capacitors. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. And when I'm done, I'll resume the video. So I'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I have gotten all the capacitors on. As you can see, it's not the best job in the world by any means, but they're on there and they're soldered to the pads properly. So they more than likely will work just fine. So the next thing we've got to do is remove these two capacitors. Now these two are different values. This one right here is 22 microfarad, 35 volts, and this one is 100 microfarad, 6 volts. Now, I forgot to mention it, but these capacitors are 3.3 microfarad, 35 volt capacitors. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. I can't exactly remember. But I will put all the capacitors, their values and their sizes in the video description if you want to buy them and do this yourself if you have this machine. So for these larger capacitors, we're going to remove them using the same method we did the smaller ones. So just put the pliers on them like this. Let me find a better way to do this. Alright, so yeah, just put the pliers on them like this and just rock them back and forth. Remember, just very slowly, no pressure. Just keep rocking it till it comes off. Alright, so as you can see it came off, but this time, well actually, nope, it just came right off. So you can see the pads are still intact right there. And so yeah, just remove both of those, and I'm going to put the capacitor on before I remove this one, just so I make sure I don't get them mixed up. So let me go grab that capacitor. I'll show you the process of soldering that on, and from there, we should be pretty much good to go. So I'll be right back once I get the capacitor, and we'll get started. Alright, so I've got the capacitor ready to install. So here it is right here. This is the 22 microfarad 35 volt capacitor. Now what you want to do with these is you're going to want to bend the leads pretty close to the top of the capacitor. So yeah, so you want to bend them about right here just so you have enough room to get your soldering iron under there and solder them. So I'm going to grab my pliers here, stick it under there, and just bend it to a 90-degree angle, just like that. So you can see we've got one leg bent 90 degrees, and then we're just going to want to do the same with the other leg at the same position. So there you go, and then from there you just want to cut the excess off. So let me get my cutters right here. Make sure you can still see it. So you just want to cut the excess off like this. And there you go, you've got your capacitor ready to solder to the board. So the first thing we're going to need to do is clean off the pad and get the metal part of the original capacitors removed, so let me go ahead and do that real fast. Alright, so we got that one off. So now we just gotta get this one. Put some solder on my iron real quick. Okay. And there's that one. So now what we can do is put some more solder on this pad here. Take the capacitor. Might grab it with the pliers. I guess I can use the tweezers here. And then we just want to make sure the positive and negative are right, so there we go. Okay, so there's that side on. And there's that side on. So we've got that capacitor on, and that's all you have to do. So, this might stick out a little bit too much. I'm not sure, but I think it'll be all right. We'll figure that out once we put the white covering on it. But just repeat that process for this capacitor. And this one is the 100 microfarad 6-volt capacitor. So just do the same process here. And once you're done with that, we should be done and ready to test it out. So I'll get that done and resume the video once I get the LCD put back together. Alrighty, well, as you can see here, I've finished all the capacitors. We've got all of these ceramics in there, as good as I could get them. They're definitely not perfect, but they will work. We've got the electrolytics in there. And I think we're ready to go ahead and reassemble the panel and go ahead and test it. So I'm going to get it reassembled, put in the machine, and we'll see if the recap worked. So I'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I have fully reassembled the display assembly and installed it into the PowerBook. So let's just go ahead and plug it in and see if it works. Okay, so far it looks pretty good. Oh yeah. Let's check out. And the contrast control works as it's supposed to. Look at that. Much, much clearer. You can actually see the display, and look at that. We have fully repaired the LCD display assembly of this machine, and it looks absolutely perfect. Alright, so now we have completed the first part of the repair. Now all we have to do is install a working hard drive and we'll be done. And I actually have an extra hard drive to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the display assembly, put the bezel back on and get that taken care of. And then we'll go ahead and put in a working hard drive. So I will be right back. Alright, you can see here that I have just disassembled the PowerBook 170, or the 140 rather, and this was its original hard disk. Now, as I mentioned, and as you heard, this drive is bad. This is a 40 megabyte Connor drive. It is a CP2045, and unfortunately it is bad. This is the second drive. I actually have another drive that's the exact same drive that I got from a PowerBook 170, and it also has the exact same issue. It sounds exactly the same, and it doesn't work. So, yeah, I don't know what it is with these drives, but they tend to fail quite often, it seems. But here's our replacement drive. This is a 120 megabyte IBM drive. It is a model WDS2120, and yeah, this is what I'm going to be putting in this machine. Now, this already has a copy of Macintosh System 7.1 installed, so all I have to do is install it to the machine, and then we can go ahead and boot it up and test it. So I'm going to do that, and oh, actually, one thing before I start that, I noticed when I opened it that there is a third-party memory expansion card installed. So by the looks of it, I think it is a 4 megabyte card. Now, there are 4 megs on the CPU card, which is the card right below this. And I think this is 4 megs. However, it might be 8. I'm not 100% sure on that. But when we boot into the system, we'll go ahead and check that and see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble it, install this hard drive, and we'll go ahead and see what's up. So I will be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I have reassembled the machine. So let's just go ahead and open it and boot it up. Plug it in and turn it on. Alright, the hard drive spun up, and it is booting. Alright, so this machine is running Macintosh System 7.1, and it does have a 4 megabyte RAM expansion card installed. So that brings the memory total in this machine to 8 megabytes. So, yeah. Let's head into control panels here. I want to check one thing real quick. For a passive matrix display, this thing is pretty responsive. So let's see here. Okay, so this does support 32-bit addressing, so I'll go ahead and turn that on. So yeah, as you can see, the display is working perfectly. So that has been the repair of this Apple Macintosh PowerBook 170 laptop. Hope you enjoyed this video.